my name is Jeff, and I build hoscale model trains. Welcome to my workshop. Today we will be starting a series of videos that I'm going to be calling Model Railroading Basics. And we will be doing that by tuning up a freight car. This will include making sure the trucks are free rolling and have metal wheel sets installed, the couplers are at the correct height, and that the car is weighted appropriately. If you enjoy this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. So let's get the camera pointed at the work desk and get started. Let's start by going over the tools and supplies we're going to use for this project. We have the car. This is a gondola. I have a screw puller, which is just a device with a plunger on the end. When I push it, prongs come out to help you grab a screw that you've loosened. A screwdriver, a hobby knife, which we may or may not need, and a truck reaming tool. So the first step is going to be to disassemble the car. This is where that screw puller can come in handy. We're going to put the screw in the box along with the truck. Screwdriver, and also remove the truck cover. The coupler cover. Although this one, the coupler swings freely. It does not appear to be worked, so we don't need to change the coupler. So just repeat the process and remove the other truck. With the trucks removed, the next step we want to do is we're going to replace the wheel sets, but first we're going to remount the coupler pockets. So we take the trucks off, we simply bend the truck out. These can be, the old plastic wheel sets can be saved to use as mask if you're painting or weathering the car. Now we're going to use this track reaming tool. By the way, there's a link to one in the description. You can get it on Amazon. You can also find them at hobby shops, train shows, and other locations. But I'll put a link in the description. We insert it in just like you would a wheel set, and then you just turn it. And it's got a cutter, you can see, that reams out the journal axle. We're going to turn it around to get the other side of that side of the truck and repeat the process. And while it doesn't show on video, you can actually feel it cutting into it, so you know when you've got a smooth finish. And then repeat on the other side of the truck. With that done, you take that out and grab a wheel set. I find storing them in old medicine bottles very helpful. They don't go flying around. Then just reinstall the new wheel sets into the car and give it a test spin to make sure it's flowing smoothly. If it doesn't, or if it stops quickly, like this is, repeat the process with the axle reamer. Okay, now you can see we've got the trucks flowing, spinning smoothly and easily on this side. We can insert the axle into the other side. Now, one thing that is good practice is if you look closely at the inside of the axles, you can see that one side is insulated. This side's not. This side is. You can see the little black plastic. You want to make sure you have that insulated end on the same side of the truck on both wheels. With plastic trucks, it doesn't really make that big of a difference, but it's best practice. That way, if you have a metal side frame truck, you don't create a short. Okay, with the trucks done, we're going to check the couplers, make sure that they're flowing freely. As you can see here, this moves back and forth. The coupler spring, the truck spring is intact. You can see it opens and closes freely on its own. Actually, you can see that the couplers you can see this one's missing a knuckle spring, and on this side it is there, and the coupler does move back smoothly back and forth in the coupler box. This one, we're going to replace the coupler, so we're going to take this out. Again, we're just going to unscrew it. This one has a screwed on coupler box cover. I'm going to remove the coupler. This is a KD number 5, it looks like, and it's got a centering stamped metal centering spring. And I'm also going to take out of the coupler box. To get the centering spring out, I'm just going to use a pair of tweezers. Grab hold of it, take it out, and I'm going to replace it with a KD number 148 whisker coupler. You can see these little pieces of wire that are springs that are attached to the coupler. That replaces that stamped brass centering spring. I can insert this in here, put the coupler cover back on, and use my screwdriver. I'm going to move the box out of our way. And then I'm going to use the screwdriver to get the screw started. I can remove it. And screw it down with the screwdriver. Okay, with the coupler back in place and working the way it's supposed to now, we can get the screws that hold the trucks on and reinstall the trucks. with the trucks, you want to make sure they rotate freely, and you want one of them to wobble. That way the trucks will stay in place. So you want to tighten it down to where there's a little bit of wobble as well as free turning on one. And the other one, you're going to want to tighten it down to where it turns without the wobble on it, if you can. Some cars you'll be able to, others you may have issues doing that. And we're going to have a little bit of wobble with it tightened all the way down on here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a short piece of track with a Katy coupler gauge on it. We're going to set the car on the track. And we're going to make sure that the coupler lines up with that. And as you can see, and I'm going to hold this up so you can see, in this case, the trip pin is hitting the coupler, and the coupler is actually riding a little bit low. So because of the issue, we're going to replace the couplers. As you can see here, I have the number 5 that was on here, which has the shank in the center. I'm going to replace it with the number 37, where the shank is at the bottom of the coupler head. This will raise the coupler head and allow it to line up and get engaged at the right height. Now we need to make sure our couplers are all at the right height so that they couple together and stay connected, particularly when we move from level track to a grade or from a grade back to level track. Now, and now to repeat on this side again, we're going to remove the coupler cover. This is the one we replaced with the number 148 coupled. So this has the whisker coupler in it. And I'm just going to, so I don't lose my screw, just going to actually put it into my screw grabber. Now I can remove the coupler. We'll put this back away for use later. We're going to put the brass centering spring back in. Okay, now we can continue installing the coupler. And we want to make sure we get the end under the spring. Then we can take the coupler cover get that into place. Okay, with the coupler in place, we can now reinstall the truck. put it back on the test track. And as you can see, we line up perfectly. The last thing we're going to need to do with this car is we'll put it on a scale and check its weight. To make sure that it meets the standards. To do that, the first thing we need to know is how long the car is. This one is 5.5 inches. So calculating using the NMRA standards for weight, which are 1 ounce for HO scale, 1 ounce plus a ½ ounce for every inch of length. That means at 5.5 inches, we need 2.75 ounces plus 1 inch, so 3.75 ounces is what this car needs to weigh. My guess is from the feel of it that it's going to be pretty close, but we'll get it on a scale and check it and see where we're at. All right, I have my scale. We're going to set the car on it. Want to turn it on and make sure it's set for ounces and zeroed. There we go. We'll set the car on it. And we're at 2.9 ounces. We ideally want to be about 3.75, so we're about a 3/4 of an ounce light, about 0.8 of an ounce light. This is an open car, so when we add a load to it, that will make up the difference. So we're going to leave this alone. If this were a closed car, a box car, we would add weight to it. But in this case, we're going to leave it alone so that we can, and we'll add a load that will be used from time to time on it and allow it to run. So with that, we're going to call that car tuned up. And those are the basics of tuning a freight car.